All right, circles and circumference. Okay, a couple things you need to know about characteristics of circles. Okay, always the center would be right in the middle. But there's two things that use that center, and it's radius and diameter. Radius is the distance from the center to any point. So here's what a radius looks like. The diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. All right, and you can tell, and this is just a little formula that tells you d is equal to 2r. The radius is half the diameter, and you can tell this is just halfway. This is the whole way across. So if you're given radius and need to find diameter, you times it by 2. Okay? Or if you are given diameter and you need radius, you would divide it by 2. Right? Because the radius is half of the diameter. Okay? To find circumference, you need this formula here. So write this down. Circumference is the distance around a circle. On that circle, the whole way around is the circumference. Anytime about circumference, it's the distance around a circle. Right? To find the circumference, you have two formulas. Capital C stands for circumference, and it's pi times diameter, or 2r pi, 2 times the radius times pi. Right? I had a teacher when I learned circumference, and she would not call this pi times diameter, she would say call it pi d. Right? Pi d, and I still remember it to this day. Anytime you talk about circumference, I automatically think pi d, pi times diameter. Right? And the reason I showed before was diameter is equal to 2r. So if they give you radius, you times it by 2, then times it by pi. If they give you diameter, you just times it by pi. Now pi, what we're going to use today is just 3.14. Okay? We don't need something really, specific. We don't need something really accurate. So we're just going to, most of the time, you just use 3.14 because you can round at 3.14. Right? So that's what we go with. Right? Now we won't always use 3.4. Sometimes we'll use what's called terms of pi, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. Right? But if we're using pi and we're multiplying by pi, then we multiply by 3.4. All right, write this down. All right, so if we need to find circumference, it asks us to find circumference. We look at a circle. The first thing we got to do, is it giving me diameter or is it giving me radius? Which one's this one giving me? Diameter. It's across the circle. It's giving me the whole thing, not just half of it, so it's diameter. So circumference for a circle is known as pi d, pi times diameter. So 3.14, and I'm just times them by the diameter, which is 3 inches. So 3 times 3.4 gives me what? 9.42. Now, it'll say round their tenth, so your actual answer is going to be 9.4. And it's a linear unit. Right? It's one-dimensional, so it's inches. Now, this is asking you to use 3.4 for pi. Now, the book, that's what it wants you to do on all of them. But we're not going to do that for all of them. I'm going to explain that here in a little bit. But if you see this, then this is what I want. All right? Draw this circle. So they give you a circle here, and again, you got to figure out, are they giving me radius or are they giving me diameter? This would be radius. It's half the distance, so it's radius. So this is the formula I'm going to use. C equals 2r pi. Okay? I'm going to change r to diameter by timesing it by 2, and then I'm going to times it by pi. So 2 times 5.3 times pi, which we're going to use 3.14. 2 times 5.3 is 10.6, and I times that with 3.14, and I get what? .33 centimeters is your answer. All right, now here I want to explain what this means. Use pi. I want it in terms of pi. Now the book doesn't ask for that. It assumes you have a calculator. It assumes you can work out all the problems. But the reason I'm having this up here and I want you to write it in terms of pi, certain problems in terms of pi, is because at the end of the year when we take the OCCT in 2 months, right, it doesn't give you a calculator. You're not given a calculator. So what it wants instead is to find the answers in terms of pi, right, which is just using the symbol pi, this. Instead of timesing it by 3.4, you just use that symbol. It's a lot like radical problems, problems with square roots. We've talked about where if you had a calculator, you can easily find what the square root of 83 is. right? But could you find what square root of 83 accurately not using a calculator? No. It's a very complicated process. You can estimate, but you're not going to get an exact number. So I told you the OCCT is just going to leave the answer as the square root of 83, right? It's going to leave the radical sign over 83, and that's your answer. This is the same type of thing, where you're not doing all the work. You're just getting to a certain point and it lets you stop. So circumference, they give me radius, so I use the formula 2r pi. Actually, the book writes as 2 pi r, but I like it this way. Plug in my radius, which is 7, and I'm going to times it with pi, but instead of timesing it with 3.4, I just leave it as the symbol. What's 2 times 7?
14.
So my answer is 14 pi millimeters. It's the same thing as taking 14 times 3.4, except I don't do that last step. I just leave it as this. Now this is just going backwards. Right? They give you circumference. You got to find the radius, so we just work backwards. So they asking for the radius, so I know I got to use this formula, 2r pi. What you do is you plug in what you know, and that helps you find what you don't know. I know my circumference, it's 20.1. I know what 2 is, it's 2. I don't know what radius is, so I'm gonna leave it, but I know what pi is. What is pi? 3.4. Right? And then I times by the radius. So I just flipped it, but it doesn't change anything. Right? And I did that because I'm going to have to work this out before I can solve for r. So I take 2 times 3.4. I get 6.28 r, which is equal to 20.1. Then I do what? Jaden? Good, so I divide both sides by 6.28. R is equal to 3.2. And this is in feet, so there's my answer, 3.2 feet. So if I need to work backwards, this is what I do. Any questions? All right, here's your homework assignment. I want to express 1 through 6, just use 3.4. But then 8 through 16, you're just going to write it in terms of pi. Right? Any questions? All right, good.